And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100% agree. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big Sean McCarthy.
Well, welcome to everyone. It is the Weighing In podcast with my man, the real punk, Josh Thompson, and me. We are here to talk about what's coming up in combat sports, boxing, MMA, everything that we talk about. We talk about it all because it's all important stuff, and we have fun doing it. My man, what's up? How you doing? Stop bootleg. Don't bootleg. I don't know what you're bootlegging.
Stop bootleg. Aloha, baby. Not my Hawaii, man. We know what's going on in Hawaii, man. These people be out there bootlegging everything, taking all their land and their houses and making up in the prices. Locals can't afford places, so just got to make sure we're out there supporting these guys.
Got it.
Anyways, but yeah, so my friend's company, so they do some stuff. Alimale likes them too, so I like Alimale. So let's I gotta throw some support from my peoples. All right, John, we've got a lot to talk about in terms of fights, but we also got a lot to talk about. Michael Venom Page is calling out Podcast Dave, but Michael Venom Page is also a little scared of his red belt because Podcast Dave's got a red belt in judo, which is truly ineffective in MMA.
In any kind of fighting form at all.
Any kind of fighting whatsoever.
Since there is no red belt.
He's got
That's why Kayla and I get along with Kayla so well, It's just
you guys speak the same language, right?
Yeah, you guys speak the same language, judo language, judoka. You guys speak judoka together?
Game respects game.
Game respects
game.
God.
Hey, I got one question for you.
Oh,
seriously, Dave, just one question. Could you please answer it for me?
All right.
And you got to do it within the first 3 seconds.
Okay.
Who created judo?
Who created judo?
John. Which guy?
Yes.
God.
Stop.
Which country?
2,
which country?
3.
God.
You can't
God
do
created
it.
Judo?
God created. No, he did not. He did not.
Yes.
Jigaro Kano created judo, and you didn't know, and that shows me all about your red belt.
What a legend.
Where did he get it from?
No, you got it from
He got it from jiu-jitsu.
This is so great, man.
That's all right, baby.
I think it's absolutely amazing. Dude, Podcast Dave, you're a legend, bro.
Oh, he's awesome.
You just said that's so funny.
Came from God.
He knew that was the one answer that we could just skate by with. He's like, whatever. God created it. God created the heavens and the earth. He created everything. That was brilliant. Brilliant.
Oh, man.
Well played. Well played,
Well
troll.
played,
I mean,
my man.
Podcast Dave.
Well played, troll.
All right. Well, hey, let's talk. We're going to talk just the main event. There's only 2 other fights on the card for 1 championships, but also Marcus Buchecha happens to be a friend of mine, and I love everything he's been doing, man. He's done his career right. He's one of the best, if not the best, grapplers in the game. It's arguably if he was to
he's
say
one
against
of the
Gordon Ryan. But in terms of gi,
with a gi,
different styles. With the
Come
gi,
on.
I think he's the best.
With a gi, he's the best.
Yep, and I think in a no gi, I think it's probably Gordon Ryan.
Yeah,
So,
I would agree.
And Gordon's beating him. So, I mean, like, when you're comparing, and Gordon, I don't want to say made it look easy, but Gordon had some good work in there at times that I was like, wow, how did you do that to Buchecha? So, styles make matchups, but Gordon's a stud with no gi. And he can train. He's good in the gi as well.
Craig
But
Jones ain't
Buchecha,
bad
I think,
either.
Buchecha in the gi is a stud, absolute animal.
Oh, my God, yeah.
This show is brought to you by MyBookie.ag. John, MyBookie.ag. This week, what do we have? We got Holly Holm versus Ketlin Vieira. That should be a great fight. Vieira having to close that distance, press Holly Holm to the fence, try to get that fight to the ground. I'm telling you guys right now, that has been very hard to do for almost anyone against Holly Holm. She is a stud. The footwork, the movement, the jab, the side kick, the oblique kick, all of those things available to Holly Holm. The odds on that fight, you guys check it out at mybookie.ag. There's a ton of other good fights on there as well. And I want to just be honest, use our promo code weighing in. We will give you guys a little bit of extra spending cash if you guys, on your first initial buy-in, if you guys use our promo code weighing in. There's a QR code right there that Podcast Dave's going to pop up for you. Boom. There it is. Use that QR code, type in our weighing in podcast, our weighing in promo code, and you'll get additional money with your first initial buy-in at mybookie.ag. Look, he's fighting Hugo Cana. I don't know if that's how you say his last name, but I have seen Hugo fight one time. Okay. He's not bad. He's got decent stand-up.
There you
He's
go.
got decent grappling, but it's nowhere near as good as Marcus. It's not as good as Buchecha. It's not even close.
Don't even look at it that way.
And when you look at,
he won't even be able to survive. There's
and
that big of a difference.
And when you look at the size, though, too, right? They might both be big, but look at body styles. I understand when we can't judge a book by its cover when it comes to the body styles.
But you are.
I am in this situation. But when I look at Buchecha, right, like, and I've trained with him several times, he is one of those guys that you think to yourself, how do you get a body frame that big to move like that? This is very much how I looked at Bobby Lashley. When Bobby Lashley came out of Missouri Valley and was wrestling out of there, I was just like, how in the hell are you 214 pounds? You look like, and he was wrestling at
he looks like he's 260.
He looks like he's 260. Yeah. The first time I met him, I asked him if he was 240. He's like, no. He's like, I'm only like 219. I was like, what the I mean, he's got chicken legs, though. He used to have chicken calves. I don't know if
not
he's
anymore.
working on made
he may have chicken calves.
Not anymore. He's big, man. Yeah. So, overall, I look at Buchecha and I think the same thing I used to think about Bobby Lashley. How do you get so much athleticism in a body built like that? You know what I mean? Like, normally when you have big guys that are built like that, they're not the most limber. They're not the most mobile. They can't. I mean, the way he jumps past guards, the way he's able to maneuver around, he stays up on his feet. He is extremely, extremely talented and athletic, for such a big body. So, I mean, I'm looking for him to probably he's got pretty decent wrestling too. It's not great, but it's definitely better than Hugo.
Not bad. No.
Yeah, it's not bad. So if I see this fight hitting the ground, and once this fight hits the ground, which it will hit the ground, once this fight hits the ground, it's going to be all over. It's going to be all over.
It's going to hit the ground one of two ways. Either it's Hugo lands a big shot, hurts Marcus, puts him down, and finishes him. Maybe finishes him with the one shot, or Marcus takes the fight to the ground and he submits Hugo. But it's look, you got to figure, and this is where you get into those things where people say, "Oh, he should be fighting, bigger names and stuff." It's like, dude, he's got 2 fights.
Slow play him.
I don't care what he's done in jiu-jitsu. It's a different sport. You can't sit there and expect him to be great at MMA because he's great in jiu-jitsu. It is a different world. It's a different sport now. You can't go back to the 1990s. That was back then, not now.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Like, he came and trained with Kane and all of us at AK. So he was there for Kane and DC, but mainly Kane because Kane had a fight coming up. I think with Verdum, and he came to train.
That would be a good person.
Yeah, so he brought Buchecha, and he had a hard time with guys that were striking him. And I mean, I'm talking guys that were like 170, 180, 185, and he was a big guy. He's 225, 235 at the time, So, I mean, he's a lot bigger now. I think he's about 240.
I was going to say he's up at 250.
But in this whole conversation, he was having a hard time with guys striking. So I think he's spent a lot of time getting ready for for these fights, understanding what it takes what techniques he can use that are in his toolbox while he's still getting punched. Which ones are effective, which ones are not. And so this is a good chance. This is a good opportunity for him to be slow played, but also be able to take some shots. Look, he's extremely talented, and I'm looking forward to seeing how his progression is in the sport. And I think one will slow play him. They just signed his head coach, Leo Vieira, who happens to be my head coach as well. And he's an ass. He is hands down the best guy I've ever grappled with in my life. And for being such a little firecracker, he's probably only 5'6", maybe 5'7", but he is
maybe
so
5'5".
good. Yeah, he
he's not very big.
He might be that fine. He might be fine. I was trying to give my boy some credit.
You're trying to be kind.
I was trying to be kind. He's a small guy, but man, he is so good. I've seen him roll with guys like Buchecha, Philip Pomoski, Lucas Leitch, Lapella, Palito, all the top level guys, around the world, at the time. But he's really good. Leo is so. Absolute stud. Anyways, look out, check that fight out. Dave, is that on the 20th, which is Friday?
Friday, yeah.
So, but they are a day behind, right? They're behind us. They're not ahead of us.
They're actually ahead of us.
Singapore is ahead by 20 hours or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So then that's where the clock restarts because then it goes to Japan and then Japan's behind us. Right? Or Japan's behind us or ahead of us?
It's hard to say because it's like,
all of Asia's ahead.
Day behind, 8 hours ahead, or something like that. I don't know.
Got it. Okay.
What a
all right.
thing.
All right, let's move on. We're going to talk about what's next there, Dave.
We got Eagle FC 47.
Ooh,
Actually,
this is a good card, John.
Actually, a really good card.
I'm pumped for it.
Yeah, I mean, the main event with Junior Dos Santos against Jorgen. Jorgen's dude, he's got power. You're talking about a guy that's going to walk in there and he's going to throw freaking missiles at you. And if one touches, Junior's going to be in trouble because he's got that kind of power. He can hit you with one shot and change the whole fight. But if you're going to look at pure boxing skills, Junior Dos Santos is the guy that's got better technical boxing skills. He's the guy that can move better. He's got power in his hands, so he can hurt De Castro also. It's just that he's got to be very careful, especially of the right hand of De Castro.
Yeah, I think Junior can hurt him. I think for sure Junior can get him out of there, but Junior could also be put
to sleep.
Put to sleep as well. So when I'm looking at this fight, though, you look at De Castro, he will try to walk Junior down and land the big shot. He will just barrel his head in there. He'll try to let you hit the top of his head as he throws his shots, but he will slow down. He is not the same fighter in the second round. He doesn't come throwing the same heat as he did in the first 2.5 minutes of the first round.
True point.
So he will slow down. So if Junior can survive that first 2.5, 3 minutes of the first round, that onslaught, then I think the longer the fight goes, I think the experience of Junior of fighting in the higher level of competition will definitely pay a factor.
Yeah.
So I think it'll definitely play a factor. I should say, not pay a factor, play a factor.
Well, it could be either way. You could pay it or play it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. So Junior I was surprised because I thought he was going to head to boxing.
Well, he was. I heard he was heading to Triller because he had that fight with who the hell was he going to fight?
I thought he was going to fight Kovalev or whatever.
Pulev,
right? Did that fight never happen?
Thank God, no. I'm just being honest, man. I don't want to.
I know, man.
Nothing. If it was an MMA fight, I'd feel the same way if I was a Pulev fan. I mean, let's just be honest. But in a boxing, basic boxing, I don't care. Triller changed the rules a little bit, but still, it's basic boxing. You're talking about Pulev being a guy that just recently had fought for the goddamn heavyweight championship of the world. Yeah. He's not a scrub, and he's not a guy past his prime. So this is way better for Junior. I think this is a good matchup. This is one that he can definitely win, and I think you're absolutely right. He needs to use his footwork, be in and out, be careful in the very first round of the fight. Know that you've got all kinds of time to put him away. And realize that cardio is your friend while it's not your opponent's friend. So use that sucker.
Yeah, I agree. What's the next fight on there, Dave? Can you scroll down?
Hector Lombard against Thiago Silva. That's
when was the last time Thiago fought?
I don't know. I was doing his fights when he was in Russia. He was fighting for ACB, and I was doing some of his fights. And he's still dangerous. He's got fucking power in his kicks. He's still got power in his hands, but his kicks are so freaking hard. But it's just body frame wise, he's a lot bigger than Hector Lombard.
Yeah,
a lot bigger. Now
this is a 205.
That's why I'm saying, Hector is a guy that can fight at 170.
Yeah.
Okay. He fights at 185. Was the champion for a while at 185, and he's a stud. But at 205, man, body frame wise, Thiago Silva's way bigger than Hector.
Yeah. Yeah, I Hector's got the dog in him. Oh. So does Thiago. Thiago Silva's a dog also. Like, that's one of the biggest things that I liked about him when he was back in the UFC. He was nasty, man. He was one of those guys. Yeah, he was mean.
Yeah.
Like, when you said you see guys, and I've met him out too, he's super nice.
Oh, yeah.
But there's guys that have those switches. You used to talk about Carlos Condit all the time. He's just like the guy in the cage is not the same guy you meet outside the cage.
No.
They are just different people. And to me, Thiago seems like one of those guys. Same thing with Hector, though. Hector in the gym, total asshole, from what I understand. Everyone said, like, it's hard to train with him. He's body slams.
He's not nice to his training partners.
No, he's trying to knock him out. But then when you meet him, right, I've hung out with him a couple times in Vegas, and it's like,
Hector Lombard is one of the nicest guys, man.
Yes.
He's a great guy, man. I love the guy. He's a sweetheart of a human being. But if you bring in the fighting element close to him, and whether it's training or the real fight, stand back. He's gonna go.
I love it. I love it, man. I love it. He's that guy. What I love is that guys like him, right? Even the same thing with Masvidal with the Leon thing. And I know like it was kind of a bad look on the sport. But look, people are going to remember that when you're talking to fighters, there's a time and a place for it. I get it. But there's a thin line between overstepping.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's a thin line between overstepping of, hey, I'm cool. But then it ends up with a 2-piece Minnesota, like Masvidal used to say. And Hector did that right after one of his fights. His next opponent, which he ended up losing to, I believe he fought. But there was one guy stepped in, said he wanted to fight him, and Hector hit him, bop, real quick. Like, nah, we're gonna fight right now. Why wait? Yeah. So that's kind of what you're gonna get from certain people. Yeah. Hector's obviously one of those guys. The next fight on there.
Do you remember when Hector confronted Tyron?
No.
He walked right up to Tyron Woodley and said, "Hey, motherfucker, we're going to fight right now. Let's go." Tyron's like, "What the fuck? Dude, what are you talking about, man? Hey. It's like,
but what happened? Why? They trained together at ATT, right?
Yeah, they did. But there was a situation with a person of the other sex. It wasn't a good situation.
Eek.
Oh, yeah.
Not a good thing to get into.
No.
It's never that good. Okay, Roosevelt Roberts versus Alexander Almeida.
That's a good fight, man. Almeida used to, fight a lot for, at the time it was World Series of Fighting. Good fighter. Mm-hmm. Good jiu-jitsu. Roosevelt Roberts coming from the UFC. Very explosive in the stand-up. Ground sometimes becomes the problem. Going against Almeida, he wants to keep it on the feet because if he doesn't, he's going to find himself in trouble against a guy with the skill set of Almeida.
And then Jason Knight making his return to MMA.
I like that.
And then,
dude, I like Jason Knight. Man, you talk about here it comes. He's a freaking junkyard dog.
Yeah,
that dude is you talk about a junkyard dog. A dog, that's the one you put into that area. It's your area. It's fenced off. He can't go anywhere. But if you decide to come into that area and decide that you're going to do something you're not supposed to be doing, that junkyard dog's going to bite you. Hello, welcome to the world of Jason Knight. He's going to try to bite you. I love him, man. He's just a fighter.
That's called being in that area. That's what you're doing. You're not supposed to be in there. That's why he's a junkyard.
That's right.
The junkyard is his area. Do not come here. That's right. What it means.
That's right.
And so anytime Jason Knight fights, he's definitely meant to be fireworks. His first BKB fight was fucking awesome.
Yeah, dude.
Against
Artem
Lobov. That was, it goes down
unbelievable.
In history, probably one of the best BKB fights that we've seen so far to this date.
I'm going to tell you, I think it was probably the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Unbeliebable.
Great
guys.
Great fight.
Beat the shit out of each other. I don't know how they were both standing.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now, Maki Pitolo. I don't know him, even though he's from Hawaii. And then Douglas Usher. You know him?
I do know Douglas Usher. Look, Maki Pitolo, the only problem with Maki is he's fighting at middleweight. Maki many times fought at welterweight, but he can fight at middleweight. I think he's done it in the past, but he's not that big a guy, but man, he's a gamer. He's going to come after him. Maki fought for Bellator in Hawaii, fought for the UFC recently. I think he got a win right away and then a couple of losses but he's just a tough dude. He just he's going to be there to scrap. Usher's going to be a guy he'll stand with him for a while. He's going to feel some of the heat of Pitolo. He's going to end up trying to take Pitolo to the ground. We'll see what happens with that. It's not that Maki is the best wrestler, but he's not bad. And so that's a well-matched fight. That one is one that I look at and I go, either guy can win that.
I want to point this out, you guys. So Maki fought at 170, right, in Bellator. He fought at 170 in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
These fighters, when they leave, let's say other organizations that are considered top organizations, Eagles. I think Eagles doing a great job. By the way, this is a fantastic card. What happens is they think that they can get away with the skills that they had when fighting in the other, but just go up and weight because you know what? Why would I kill myself to cut the weight? I can still beat these guys. I'm better than them. This is how you avoid getting back into those other bigger organizations by doing things like this. No. It doesn't matter what you do. Stay on task. Your task is to stay at the weight you're going to continue to fight at. Keep making that grind, keep keeping your weight down, and keep focusing on where you want to be. Where do you want to be? You don't want to be fighting at 185 in the UFC. You'll get fucking crushed. You don't want to be fighting at 185 in Bellator. You're going to get fucking crushed. Stay at the weight class that you're going to be fighting those guys, because what happens is you try to drop the weight and get back into those organizations. Sure, maybe you get a 1 or 2 at 185. Let's say you do. Then you get to 170, you go back in there. Those guys are faster. Those guys are more technical. Now you're dealing with people that are better than you, and yet you had to drop the weight. Don't do that. Stay on task. And your task is to keep the weight. Treat this as if it's a job. This is how you avoid getting back into the bigger organizations, is by not working on what you need to work on. I need to work on keeping my weight down. I need to work on getting better. I need to work on my grappling. Go back and watch the fights that you lost at the weight class you want to compete at and fix those problems. Don't go up in weight thinking you're going to fix them. That's not going to fix them, my friends. So, and look, I understand with Thiago, he's not, I don't think he's welcome back to the UFC because they cut him a long time ago for some stuff that happened. Yeah. And then Hector, I think he's kind of like, with them, he's kind of aged out, UFC. But I mean, like, if you're talking about certain fighters, Jason Knights used to fight at 35. Didn't he fight at 25?
No.
Who fought Demetrius? Who fought DJ? That was the real scrappy. Tim Elliott. Sorry, I get Tim Elliott and him mixed up a little bit.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so Jason Knight was at bantamweight or featherweight always?
No, he was at lightweight most of the time. He went to featherweight, I believe, but in lightweight most of the time.
No, he's at featherweight for this fight. Yeah. But my point is try to maintain what weight you choose to fight at in the other organizations as well, the bigger organizations.
Well, I mean, Maki Patola did fight at middleweight in the UFC because he went up in weight to take the fight. But most of the time, his weight, I think, and I think there might have been weight issues as far as he was having a hard time making it. That's that 15-pound jump. That's a big ass jump that gives you. So I can understand him doing it, but he's a fun fighter. The next one you have is Cedeno against Islam Mamedov. What do you think?
Look, I've trained with Islam. I know Islam a lot. I know how good he is. He's fighting for Bellator right now. Bellator was able to release him. Not release him. They let him go so he could. Yeah, we didn't release him. They allowed him to fight in Eagle because obviously the connection with Khabib. He's managed by Ali. And I like that Coker allowed him to go do this. I think it's good. It keeps him active, keeps him busy. Gives him an opportunity to work on the things he needs to work on, while this is all, while he's not being used in Bellator. That being said, you have a guy who is ranked, I'd say, in the top 6, I think, something like that, in Bellator. I think he's ranked, he just had his first loss. First loss in Bellator. First or second? I think it was
second loss overall.
Second loss overall. Okay. Yeah. His first loss in Bellator. What I don't get is if you have a guy who is highly ranked that you're allowing to go somewhere else, there needs to be some sort of stipulation that, hey, he cannot fight any lower than the co-main event. He's got to be the co-main event. Just my personal opinion. Like, you can't have your guys in another organization that's not as big as your organization, who is ranked in your top 5 or 6, is now fighting number 2 on the card. It doesn't do you any good, and that's going to have to be addressed. I really believe. And I got a lot of respect for Islam. I got a lot of respect for Khabib and all the guys that are running this promotion. I love this card that you guys are doing. I think it's absolutely amazing because especially you guys got good fights on there. Hector and Thiago is going to be a fucking barn burner of a fight.
Although there are only seven fights on the card.
You're right. So, but Islam needs to be higher up. If you're gonna loan your fighters to someone else's organization that's not as big as yours, you need to be able to say, hey, this needs to be a co-main event. This fighter needs to be a co-main event. That's reasonable. I think it's reasonable.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm at with that situation.
But again,
I'm excited. I'm excited to watch Islam fight.
If you're Eagle, do you want someone being able to dictate where you put your fights? You don't want that.
Look, it would be different if Islam wasn't managed by Ali and also in one of Khabib's main training partners. It'd be different. Like when they would come together. Islam was at AKA pretty much every time that Khabib was there. They would always train together. Grappling partners, sparring partners, technique partners, all of those things, along with Islam, Makhachev and Abu Bakr and Little Umar and all these other, Like, this is somebody that he puts high on a pedestal to look after. You saw him when he was in big danger in the guillotine against Benson. You saw the look on his face, hands down, saying prayers, got out, boom. Super excited. He's that kind of guy, Khabib is. So it's a little, I think I'm not saying they need to dictate it, but if you have a guy that's in the top 5 or 6, you should be able to say, hey, we don't need to loan him to you. We want to, but let's make an agreement. It's fair. Let us help us promote our fighter, and keep them high on a pedestal because they are highly ranked. And he's your friend too. You should be trying to get him a little bit higher up on the card. Look, if you wanted to put him right below Thiago and Hector, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that. All right. Let's jump right into the UFC. UFC is this weekend.
Yep.
Holly making a return.
Back. She's back.
Fucking shredded, dude.
She
I
is
saw
a
some pictures
stud.
of her recently too. She's fucking shredded.
She's 40 years old, man.
She's over 40, right?
Is she over 40?
How old is she? I think she's 42.
Damn.
41 or 42.
Damn.
She's 40.
she
She'll
is
be
40.
41 in October.
Ah,
October. Okay. Because I was
She's a
talking
stud.
with what's her name? I was talking with Arlene Blanco. I thought she said she was 41, and I thought I was assuming 42 soon. My assumption.
bad
You know what they say
assumption.
about assumptions, my
Bad
friend?
assumption. Do not assume.
Yep. Fucking just made an ass out of myself. All right. Well, hey, let's jump into this. So, Ketlen Vieira versus Holly Holm. I mean, look, it doesn't matter who you put against Holly Holm. She is a bad style matchup for almost anyone.
Yeah.
There's certain fighters that she's had problems with, sure, but she's a bad style matchup for anyone. She has slowed down a tiny bit, but her output hasn't slowed down. She's still got a ton of output.
And she's
So if Kaylin can't get her pressed to the fence to slow her down, but Holly's gotten really good at turning people off the fence. If you recall the Cyborg fight, she did a good job of pressing Cyborg to the fence and holding her there, as well as turning her to keep her there.
same with Jermaine.
Exactly. I mean, I look at Holly, she's made such huge gains. You can tell that when someone is very focused on their craft and making themselves better every single time, I'm excited to see what she brings to the table. After this, it's been a long layoff, and how she's changed her game a little bit. How is she going to make those changes? Now, remember, there are fighters that when they get older in age, like we talked about Michael Johnson the other night, you slow the output down and focus more on a little bit more power and sitting down on your punches and using your footwork to set up more strikes. So you don't slow down because she's 40 years old, and the fight, as the fight goes on, you're less likely to be taken down or clipped or knocked out. Because the age makes a difference. I don't care what anyone says. Your chin's not.
It does.
The age makes a difference. The chin starts getting affected. The speed and the countering of you starts getting affected. You're getting hit with shots that you didn't used to get hit with. All of those things make a difference. So,
Well, I think the big thing here is, first off, Ketlen Vieira is not that fast of a fighter. Her last fight was against Miesha Tate, and Miesha actually did fairly well on the feet, if you recall. Against
John, pull that microphone towards you a little bit, will you, please?
Sorry about that. There you go. How's that better?
Much better,
So,
thank you.
I think that speed-wise, Holly's 40. She's still way faster. She's a faster fighter. She's very difficult to track down. Her footwork and the angles that she creates and the movement that she has makes her very difficult for you to be able to set your feet and throw power against her.
Yeah.
So you've got to decide not to. I just want to keep try to touch her. She's very good at hiding her kicks. She brings kicks in very well throughout it. If I look at this fight and I go, look, there's one place for Ketlen Vieira to win this fight. That is on the ground. She's not going to outstrike Holly. Holly's just better in the stand-up by far. So then comes the question, how many people have you seen take Holly to the ground? It's not an easy thing to do. Exactly. No. And so I look at this and I think, just functionally as you look at them as fighters and where they're strong and where they have, the ability to win this fight, I look, this is going to be a very tough fight for Vieira. She's going to have to really work her butt off to, do like you said, put her against the cage, slow her down, try to beat her up with some dirty boxing, maybe get the takedown there, but it's not going to be an easy task, and she's going to have to do it for multiple rounds when she doesn't have that unbelievable wrestling. If it was Sarah McMahon, possibly I'd say, yeah, she's got a real good chance of taking her to the ground. She's got that ability to use that wrestling. She doesn't have that kind of wrestling. I think this is a really tough fight for Vieira to win. I think Holly Holm should definitely be the favorite. I think she's got the skill set, and matchup-wise, this works for her.
Yeah, there's certain fighters that I put in that category that can do what they're doing for a long period of time. And the reason why I say that is and I'm going to say this now, is you have, I use Lyoto Machida as one, Stephen Thompson, MVP, Holly Holm, maybe Alfie Davis a little bit. He stands a little bit more, but like in terms of, he doesn't use as much footwork. Those 4 fighters that I just mentioned, they're never off their bikes.
Yeah.
They're always moving. They're always creating angles. They're always in a bladed stance.
Yeah.
They're less likely to be hit and kicked and all those things. They're always throwing, and they're counter strikers. They can be offensive as well and pushing on you, but they're also counter strikers because they know that they're faster than you. She knows she's pretty much longer than almost anyone she fights. So when you go to step in, she's quick on the side kick. She's quick on the side kick to the thigh, that oblique kick. She's really good at her timing, and she understands. I think from a young age, she understood what she was born to do. And I think once you realize that, like, she's just dedicated every single moment of her life to this. At 40 years old, man, she's still fucking ripped abs, shoulders, veins coming out of her shoulders. I mean, she's an animal. She is a cardio freak from what I understand. Everyone I've talked to at the gym goes, she never gets tired, ever. She's just go, go, go. Let me do more bag work. Let me do more mitt work. Let me do more runs at the track. She's an animal, and I think it shows in her longevity in this sport, not just this sport, but also boxing, kickboxing, all the other things she did before. She's a stud. So I agree with you, though, John. This is going to be a very hard fight for Vieira. The speed's definitely going to be a factor. I feel like Misha could have beat Vieira had she been a little bit bigger. She was way smaller than Vieira. Vieira's a big girl. She's not a small girl. Yeah. And so that right there
but
is going to
match up well
her.
As far as Holly and her. Because Holly's a big girl.
Vieira.
Yeah.
Vieira, yeah, in terms of size, yes. But they don't match up well in terms of technique.
No.
I don't look at that. And I also look at the fighters that have been able to take Holly down. I mean, it's been
Misha was one.
Far between.
Let's just be honest. Misha had the second round, where she did really well. She got her down. She had great positioning. She did great work. And then she got the 5th round where she got the finish when Holly was the champion. But Holly learned from it too, and she's gotten better with her takedown defense and everything. So she's a more difficult person to put in that situation now than she was back then.
I would absolutely agree. This is going to be a good fight, though. I think that Holly's going to be able to outpoint her, and potentially if she's able to catch her stepping in, potentially get the finish.
Yeah.
Ponzinibbio versus that should be a fun fight.
Michelle Pereira.
Should be a crazy fight, by the way. It should be a crazy fight.
Every fight with Pereira is a crazy fight.
Pereira's going to be crazy, bouncing all around, maybe a little less movement now that he's getting a little bit older. No, he's going to he'll still be bouncing off the fence, doing all these things. And then Ponzinibbio, I know he's getting older as well, but the two of them together is going to make for a fun fight. Ponzinibbio's going to walk him down, try to land the big shots. He will still be there in the 3rd round if this fight goes to the 3rd round. And Pereira has been known to slow down because of all the movement and the rapid movement. If he does slow down too much, Ponzinibbio has been known to get knockouts in the 3rd round or finishes in the 3rd round because of the way he pushes the pace, he takes shots, he can take damage, and he comes forward. I look for that type of fight to happen.
No, if you're Ponzinibbio, you got to look at this fight and say, you know what? I just need to cut angles on him, slow his movement down, make him go into my power, because Pereira is going to start to try to go away from him. He's going to go towards the left hand of Ponzinibbio. Ponzinibbio needs to cut that angle off, make him circle back towards that power side, and then use it. Find those opportunities to let it go. Mm-hmm. But like you said, if you're Ponzinibbio, you want to make him work. You want to make him push past that comfort zone. Yeah. In his last fight, though, he didn't tire out. He looked good throughout, and so he's getting better. He had those moments especially when he was doing all the other, the backflips and everything that he's doing. You can't do that shit. That's not, going to work for you most of the time, and it's burning a ton of energy. And I think he learned from it. He lost a fight that, he never should have lost against Connolly based upon, all that crap. Well, he slowed himself down as a fighter, and he's not getting as tired. But even with that, if I'm Ponzinibbio, I want to push the pace on him. I want to put him in a position where he is at least slowing down and setting his feet. Then he becomes a much easier target.
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, both of us are big fans of Chidi and Chikawani. Super talented, fast hands.
Chidi, bang, bang.
Chidi, bang, bang. He's fought in Bellator before. He's got his win in UFC. Can tip my hat to him. Congratulations to him. And but he's fighting Dusko. Dusko, he's someone who I didn't know how you say his last name, so I'm gonna call him Dusko. He just walks forward though. He is a lot slower than Chidi, but most people are. Just so we're clear. Okay. Dusko is gonna walk forward. He's gonna take shots. He will take one to deliver one. He's a tough kid. I don't know if he's going to be able to get Chidi down. I think he will try to get this fight to the ground once he realizes, he's got to. Because on the feet, it's not going to go well for him.
No.
The speed's going to be a disadvantage for him. I think the reach might even be a disadvantage for him.
It's absolutely.
So, I mean, Dusko's a big guy, though, John.
He's strong.
He has a baby type. He has a baby look to him.
He's strong.
Head, face.
He's physically got, a big body frame, but he doesn't have the stand-up skills to stay with Chidi. And so, look, his way is close that gap, get into the clinch, make Chidi fight in that clinch, in that dirty boxing realm, fight in a phone booth because it takes away the kicks of Chidi. It takes away his length. This is a fight that either guy can win. Chidi, if it stays on the feet and it stays at length, Chidi's going to pick him apart and annihilate him. If it gets into that phone booth fight, it's even. I say that, that's exactly where Dusko wants the fight. And if it hits the ground, then it definitely goes into Dusko's favor.
Yeah, I agree. Chidi, though, he's been fighting guys like Paul Daly has, fighting guys that all they've ever done in their career is try to take him down.
Oh, yeah.
So Dusko's going to have to bring something to get him down as best he can, and he's going to have to bring something he hasn't seen before because he's going to be real quick at keeping his back off the fence. He's going to be good at, when he is against the fence, he's going to be good at shoving the head down or lifting the underhooks, circling you off, doing some knees, and he will deliver strikes on the break. That's one thing he does very well. They make sure that you pay for trying to press him to the fence. Yeah. So that makes for a fun fight.
Well, just take a look at the record. We're looking at, it's a guy close to 30 fights and a guy with close to 13 fights. Yeah. That's a big difference. It's a big difference in that Chidi's been around. He's been around the block a couple times. I know because he won the fight on the Contender Series and they're looking for new talent. He's not a new talent.
No.
Okay? He's been around and he's been around the block a lot. Everyone knows him, but he is a guy that has gotten better with time. Yeah. And because everyone used to take him down, that was the way to beat him. And he's a stud. I did a fight with Chidi back when he fought Alan Jobe. He was Alan's first loss. It was up at Tachi Palace. And it was the first time I ever ref Chidi. I said, dude, that dude's fast.
Dude, John out here dating himself real quick.
No, dude, I was totally dating myself, but he was fast because Jobe was fast, and Chidi was faster. It was like, damn, this dude's fast.
Joe Bain's a stud, man. Joe Bain's an absolute stud. Polyana Viana versus Tabitha Ricci. I don't know anything about Tabitha Ricci, but Polyana Viana is a stud. She's young. She's very active all the way around. She's going to be a top talent, I think, here pretty shortly. But they need to slow play her a little bit. She's got a lot of experience. She needs to get more experience against higher level competition.
I think you're talking about Ricci right now because she's good too.
She's good.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about her.
They need to slow play her. I think this is a great matchup. Ricci she's tough. So this is a pick 'em fight.
Click on Polyana Viana. I know she's cute. I know that. but she's up. She had a loss though to someone. Just I think recently.
3 losses in a row.
No, 3 losses in a row. Who did she lose? Oh, JJ Aldridge. I saw the JJ Aldridge one. And then, but then she beat Whitmire, and then she beat Mallory.
These are all old, though, Josh.
Those are all.
No, I know, I understand that, but I saw her Mallory fight because Emily, I know her pretty well, and then Mallory also used to train AK a little bit here and there, but she was dating Deron Wynn for a while. Mallory was. So I remember watching those 2 fights. Yeah, she's tough, man. We'll see.
Go ahead and pull up Ricci real quick.
John over here siding against me.
I'm just going to take a look, man. I'm telling you, she's good. She's tough. Wow. So.
The baby shark. Baby shark.
Baby shark.
Baby shark.
Take a look at her record real quick. Go on down
6-1.
her last fights. Yeah, go and take a look at her last fights.
Who was her last fight?
So her only loss
Maria Oliveira
is to Manon Farreau, who's on fire right now and who the UFC is really pushing big time from France. That's her only loss. She's tough. I'm telling you.
All right.
It's going to be a good fight. It's a great match.
Fireworks. Let's go. Let's see some fireworks.
It's a good one. There you go.
All right. Let's go to the
Ladies
next
are
fight.
taking
Next
over on
fight.
this one.
Eric Anders versus Jung Yong Park.
Jun Young Park's got power. Jun Young
Yeah.
Park's got he's got power in his hands. Eric Anders, just unbelievable athlete, good fighter and everything. But he's got to stay away from the power of Park. He's got that one shot blast that he can definitely hurt you. Now, we've seen Anders take some big shots before. He had that fight with Khalil Roundtree where, I mean, he got the one round. I couldn't believe he survived. He took so many big shots. But, he's got heart.
Like that. That's when your face looks like this, right?
Yeah. Give it,
We're on the up kick, like.
you got to push it a lot more, but that's it's a really good.
I want that
matchup.
to be my what is it
Thumbnail?
called? My thumbnail.
Thumbnail?
Yeah, for this one. That'll be my thumbnail.
Okay.
Joseph Holmes. I can't remember what's Joseph Holmes' freaking nickname. Ugly. I can't think of it. Ugly Joe.
Look up Joseph Holmes. Joseph Holmes. See what
Ugly
his
Joe
nickname
Holmes.
is.
I think it's Ugly Joe Holmes.
Ugly
I
Joe
love him.
Holmes.
He fought in Bellator along with
Ugly
his
man.
opponent.
Ugly man.
Ugly man. See, there you go.
That's the
Ugly man Joe Holmes.
Very much like
He's fighting Alan Amadovsky, and he fought in Bellator for a while too. He was undefeated in Bellator, then he lost. But that's a good matchup. Yes,
You know who I like? I like Parker Porter, man.
Yeah,
For a guy built like that,
dude, he's a big old dude.
he just keeps coming though. He's talented.
It's all gas tanks, Joe. I mean, you got to look at it right now. All gas tank, Josh. All gas tank. All of it.
Yeah, you have a pretty big gas tank then, my friend.
I just like Parker.
When I watched him fight, I watched his last two fights. It seems like for such a big guy, he is extremely mobile.
Yeah.
Like, what's his name? Like
moves
the one
well.
we were talking about earlier, DeCastro. He's the same thing.
Yeah.
Both of these guys, they don't look the body frame, but man, they can move. They can move. I mean, and I love watching Parker Porter fight because he'll mix it all up. He'll utilize a little bit of wrestling, but he's down to throw down. I mean, to me, I love watching heavyweights that are like that look like that, but still have a gas tank. I was a big fan of Paul Bonatello because he was a chubby
The
little
big
guy.
burrito, baby.
The big burrito, yeah,
The
that
big
guy.
burrito.
He never ate good. He just came in, trained, half-assed his training. I'm surprised he could ever get through three or 5 rounds of training. That guy fought everybody. He didn't care. He's like, yeah, sure, I'll take it. Whatever. He was fighting every weekend. Didn't matter.
If it was a
Just,
stand-up fight, he was in it.
Yeah. He got pretty good at takedown defense. He just had a hard time against the top-level guys when it came to his takedowns. But, man, he can knock people out, man. His timing was on point, and he could throw his uppercut, left
He had a
hook.
beautiful jab.
Beautiful jab, right to the uppercut, left hook. It was like bop, 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 bop. And then I've cornered him a bunch of times, probably 10, 15 times I cornered Paul. But it was fun. I cornered him in Hawaii against something in Montana. He got that head kick knockout. His fucking head, he knocked out a heavyweight with I was like, how the hell, where'd you get that shit from?
How'd you
Bro, I was
get your
watching
foot
you.
up that high?
He's like, bro, I was watching you. This was before the Nate fight and stuff, but I used to throw a lot of head kicks with my lead leg. That's exactly what he did. Boom, right on the button. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
All right, well, hey, that's going to wrap up our UFC talk, and we're going to jump. Wait, you know what? Will this young kid still be around? Chase Hooper. He takes too much damage. I don't think he's grown into his body yet. He's talented. There's no doubt. There's a lot of hype around him.
Yep.
But he's someone that I don't think is fully matured in terms of muscular, but his body style doesn't allow him to do it. I think they got to really dial him back, slow play him, give him.
But they have.
Many,
They're trying. They're trying.
They are.
You know, you got to look and you got to say, yeah, they're trying. But it's one of those. I understand why they like him, and I like him. And the kid is tough. You got to give it to him, man.
Tough.
He is tough. but he is taking a lot of damage early on in his career, and that is not a good thing. So it's got to be that like you said, they got to play it right, but he's got to improve in certain areas because his ground game is great. He is super good on the ground.
I think Johnny really needs to find some sort of strength and conditioning coach to really build his strength because he seems like a spaghetti noodle out there.
He is a spaghetti noodle out there. He's freaking what? Close to 6 foot tall and at featherweight?
Jeez, man. But he is talented on the ground.
He is.
But he has no wrestling though either, John. That's the other thing.
Well, it's because he came from straight jiu-jitsu background.
Yeah, those days are kind of gone. You
Yeah,
know,
well.
I mean, you've got to be at that top level of jiu-jitsu to be entering in.
How tall is
You gotta
Chase
be a Marcus
Hooper?
Buchecha.
Pull that up there, Dave.
6'1".
6'1". See, 6'1". That's what I said, man.
22 years old. Yeah, and it's Ben Askren's son.
Yeah, he did. He did that with Masvidal.
Yeah,
that was great. He goes, "Oh, you knocked out my dad, huh?" This Masvidal,
Like what?
I'm sorry.
So good. So good. All right, guys. Wait, that's going to wrap up our UFC talk. And there's 3 fights coming up this weekend. So Friday night is you've got you've got one FC. You've got Eagle FC. And then you've also got UFC on Saturday. So make sure you guys all tune in, and we'll do the recap on those probably on Sunday. But Dave, let's get into some news.
All right, this first one I have for you guys. I want to get your reaction to Michael Chandler's comments. Obviously, you guys work for Bellator, right? And Michael Chandler's coming away after this Tony Ferguson knockout, and he's on a high. And he was interviewed and made a comment that that the reason he didn't cut these types of promos, that the interviewer said was amazing, is when he didn't do it in Bellator is because he didn't need to, because he wasn't out to compete against the best.
All right, let's be clear about this. First off, the promo he cut was awesome. It was. Yeah. I thought he did a great job, but he did the same thing when he was in Bellator at times. Yeah. Michael is this. Michael is, I'm gonna be with the one that brung me now, and when he was with Bellator, like, he was a great spokesman for Bellator. He was awesome. He would talk up Bellator. He would talk up the fighter. He's not with Bellator, and he's with the UFC, and his job is to talk up the UFC, and that's what he's doing. And, you know, you're going to get a lot of people who say, he's like a shill, you know, and he's just trying to, you know, I've heard, you know, all kinds of, he's riding Dana's balls. He's an employee of Dana White, and that's who pays him well, and that's his paycheck. And so it's okay. Say what you're going to say. That's his job. His job is to make everyone believe that where he is fighting and the people that he is fighting, and that they're the very best. Now, if you go back and you just take a look at records, you'll find out that if what he's saying is true, then he's lost to those people, because he had quite a few losses in Bellator, because there's good fighters everywhere. Just the way it is.
Yeah. Normally this gives me an opportunity to rip on Michael, but look, in all fairness, though,
his job.
The promo he cut was amazing.
It was.
Okay, and I'm happy for him in that situation. Like, he did a good job. The timing was on point. Okay. To move on to, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing.
There you go.
He was that way for Bellator. He did a good job in front of the mic. He was always considered himself professional. Look, this is what I want. I want people to. When Scott Coker took over Bellator, he gave me a call. He's like, "Hey, I've got 2 guys." You know, we were talking to him. He's like, "Hey, which guy is extremely marketable?" He had Michael Chandler, and then he had Will Brooks. And I plainly told him, I said, this is before I had all my stuff with Chandler where we don't get along. This before I went to Bellator. This was just me and Coker just talking about, hey, he's got 2 guys. One's his champion, which is Will Brooks at the time. Will Brooks had already beat him, I think, twice. And he had Michael Chandler. And he asked me, he's like, you know, they're both good. You know, he's like, but it's like, which one do I spend the time and the effort on trying to build? And it took me 2 seconds to say, I follow Will Brooks on social media. All he is negative.
One of the most negative
Sure,
guys
he's
ever.
a great fighter, but it's always woe is me. Oh, I want more. Oh, all he does is talk trash on social media and never focuses on the actual issues. And it was always crying about everything.
Boy, did you say
I
that
said,
right.
Michael Chandler is the opposite of that. Always positive on social media, always talking about all these things to help build your promotion. All of these things, I said, and not to mention, he's a good-looking guy, speaks well. You can use him later on in terms of,
fighter.
in cutting promos and he's a fucking dynamic fighter. He also has a ton of history with Eddie Alvarez, who at the time was doing well in the UFC. I said that's a reason to keep him, not just he was never going to let him go, but I said, and who you want to build up. That's a reason to keep it, because he's a guy that he fights his ass off every single time. Doesn't matter who it is. He fights his ass off. Sometimes he wins, sometimes he loses. He takes everyone serious, but he fights his ass off. Look, I have dislike for him for specific reasons. I've never said that he's not a talented fighter. I've never said anything negative in terms of his abilities, any of that stuff, and I never will. He is a great fighter, and I've said that. And I even said when he goes to the UFC, he's going to give a lot of those guys in the top 5. He's going to give them problems.
Yeah, which he's done.
And then that's which he's done. Now, sure, he came up short against 2 other guys, but I also think that his mentality now that he's settled in there is going to change. He's going to start making some focuses on, hey, these are the guys that now I'm competing against, and he'll make some adjustments, and I think you're going to see him come back. He'll make a run at the title. He will make a legit run at the title as long as he gets away from fighting really, really stupid. Now, I'm going to go back to this as well, you guys. I have never not once said that Bellator had the best fighters in the world. I have said, though, and I will continue to say this over and over again, there are good fighters in every organization. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to stop, and I'm going to continue to say this. I'm going to stop with the Bellator and UFC back and forth. I'm not going to do that anymore. There are really good fighters in PFL. Clay Collard has proven that he is a really good fighter. He's beaten Jeremy Stevens, he's beaten Anthony Pettis, and he's beat them handily. Now, don't get me wrong, the Jeremy Stevens fight was a really good fight, but Clay won. He walked him down through body shots. Same thing with Anthony Pettis. Look, there are good fighters. They're like, oh, those guys are old and washed up. Those guys were beating 170-pounders when they left. Not Stevens, but
not Steve. Yeah.
but Pettis. Pettis got a win over a 170-pounder who was ranked in the top 5.
He knocked out Stephen Thompson.
Exactly. That's what I just said. But that's the point. The point is, look, these guys are fighting guys in a weight class above. There are good fighters everywhere. Michael Chandler's doing a good job cutting a promo for his organization he's with now and for Dana. That all being said, let's go back to Michael Chandler has Dana White privilege. That's the best part. Tony Ferguson, you got Dana White privilege. No, but he gets that privilege because of the way he fights. That's one thing.
And the way he promotes.
Because of the things he says, the way he promotes. And I'm going to be honest, man, he's a good-looking kid that fights his ass off every single time. When you speak well, got a good look to you, and you fight your ass off, what's not to like about him in terms of if you're a promoter?
That's it.
The other way that I look at it too with Scott Coker, it is very hard to tell people that you have a guy that is the best in the world if he is your champion at 155 who just got knocked out by Patricio. That's the other reason why I think that Scott let him go. I can't do anything with you anymore.
Yeah.
You just lost to a 145-pounder and you got knocked out. That's the hard part. Scott was put in a weird situation. Now I let Patricio come up and fight you. You got knocked out by my 145-pounder. Now what do I do with you? I can't go and say that Michael Chandler is better than the UFC guys. Let him go prove it. So in a promotional point, he had to let him go. He had to let him go.
I agree.
There's nothing I can't market you to say like, oh, I have the best 55-pounder. No, I don't. My 45-pounder knocked him out. That's the hard part. Look, I had a long talk with his manager this last week when we were in London, Dave Martin. I had a long talk with Logan Storley, as well, a little bit about, his career path, not just him and Logan and everyone else from Sanford MMA. They've got a lot of good studs, man, but Michael Chandler's making a good run. He's doing a good job of promoting himself, and Dana and them, they're in love with him. And I think they've always loved him, just like they always said, oh, Eddie's not fighting anyone. Eddie came over and won the UFC belt. Look, like that proves right there, not just Strikeforce guys, that can come in and become champions. Eddie came in, became champion. Chandler's going to come in, try to become champion. I don't know if he'll get it done or not, but he's going to try to do it. There's good guys across the board. There's not a Bellator comparison. There's guys in PFL. There's guys in one, especially the littler guys.
Yeah.
Those guys in one are fucking nasty good. And DJ is finding out right now. Eddie's finding out too. Eddie's finding out as well. They are both finding out that it's tough, man. It's tough over there because those kids over there in one are fucking just nasty on the feet. Maybe not good on the ground, but just nasty on the feet. So that should answer all that question. That's enough. That's enough about the rant.
That's enough.
Dana privilege. Dana privilege. Oh, I thought that was great when Tony said that. All right, guys. Not guys, but
no. Then he said it wasn't funny.
day.
He said it wasn't funny.
Dana, what's next?
All right, this next story. Jon Jones's training partner has come out and basically said that Jones has 3 fights left in the UFC. Before he calls it a career. Jorgen De Castro. He said. Ngannou, let's see, it says Jones confided in him that he will likely fight 3 more times before he calls it a career. So, Jones trusting the right guys over here. Ngannou will be out 9 months to fix his knee and then needs 6 more months in camp. Jones will already be 35 and Francis will be what? I think Jones fights once or twice more. He told me he'll fight 3 times and that's it. But if he does fight Ngannou, it's hard to go against Jones. And then he also said he'll walk through Stipe.
Yeah.
Go ahead and say it because it all comes down to this simple term. If you're his training partner, shut up. You don't put that information out. Don't put any information out. That's not your place. If Jon Jones wants to put out, hey, I'm going to do 3 fights and I'm done, then Jon Jones can do it. That's his career and he can say those things. But a training partner, just talking about how good he is or anything like that, that's great. Don't talk about, oh, he's already told me he's only got 3 fights left. The promoter doesn't want to know that. Yeah. Well, excuse me. The promoter does want to know that, but doesn't want to hear that, and then doesn't want to put anything behind putting that person into these positions where, oh, he's going to be my champion, he's going to walk away. I just look at it and it's like, look, if Jon Jones wants to retire in 3 fights, great. Do it, but training partners, you don't be saying anything about what that guy is going to be doing or what he said to you. That's again, what happens in the gym stays in the gym. It's the same thing with the conversations. That all stays between you two.
We don't talk about Bruno. I don't know if you guys know that. I'm sure Dave does. He's got 2 young kids. Yeah, we don't talk about Bruno. Anyways.
I know the song inside out.
Yes, I'm sure you do, buddy. I think I agree with John. When it comes to, look, I talk about stuff from the AKA days, but those are old times. Times have already passed. Yeah. But in this situation, like he's still active. He still needs to make money. And Dana might be like, okay, well, sure, I'll give him a title shot, but then I got to try to find someone to beat him as soon as possible because he's going to retire in 3 fights. Promoters schedule their way around how they're going to promote that fighter if they're going to be champion for a long period, I'm a little, look, I know we're talking about Jon Jones. The way that I look at it, though, John, he's been away for 3 years.
Close.
He's been away longer than Henry Cejudo has been away.
That's right.
And so when you're talking about that, like, I know that he's coming back and he's probably the most talented fighter we've ever seen step foot in that cage in terms of skill level and, just ability. His mindset is fucking phenomenal. All of those things. Will we get the same Jon Jones? That amount of rust, that amount of time off, can he just turn it on against top level competition? Can he do it after 3 years off? That's hard to get. And then not only that, you're not doing it against people that are your size anymore. You're doing it against guys that hit harder, guys that can push you around maybe, guys that can bully you around a little bit that are just as big. Ngannou's a big guy. Now, I know he's not fighting him for a while, but Stipe is not a small fry either.
No.
So it's like I'm looking at the guys in the heavyweight division. Cyril Gane, he's a huge guy. Tom Aspinall, he's athletic. And so Cyril, both of those guys, they're big and they're athletic. These guys are fast, big, and athletic. Jones, he's going to have his hands full when he gets to that heavyweight division with those top 3-4 fighters.
I agree. If you go to his career as a light heavyweight, it's always been the guys that were close to his size, that were longer, that were taller, that gave him the most trouble.
Yeah.
Reyes,
you have Reyes, and then you've got and
Gustafsson. Yeah. I mean, they were the ones that you just look at Jon having issues in the fight. Those were the guys that did it. So all the guys that he's going to be fighting, in the heavyweight division are going to be of that length, that size. So it can cause him a problem. But like you said, let's be honest. There is ring rust. We call it cage corrosion when you haven't been in the cage for a while.
Jon just made that shit up.
But it's cage corrosion. It's a beautiful term. But it's a matter of he still is one of the most talented guys I've ever seen in there. And although people can say what they want about what he does on the outside and everything, inside of that cage, his fight IQ is incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. He can change. He can do things. He alters. You watch him set things up. You see how he can compute what's going on and where a guy is making a mistake that he can take advantage of. He's just remarkably good. Just remarkably good. Remarkably smart inside that cage. And, I just look at it. He's a handful for anyone, but if you're a training partner, keep it between you and Jon if he told you something.
Yeah.
And I can say, like, I'm going to say this. Look, I got in trouble with, I didn't get in trouble with Lorenzo. Lorenzo Fertitta used to talk to me a lot, and he would tell me things. And on a podcast, I said something that he had told me about Conor McGregor, and that he was having a hard time signing him. It was for this much money, and I put it out, and I shouldn't have done it. It was a mistake.
Yeah.
That was between, Lorenzo told me that. I should never have said it. It was, I'm giving out information like, oh, well, you guys need to know this. No, you don't need to know it. I made that mistake, and if it's Jorgen saying that, Jorgen's making a mistake by saying it. He just needs to keep it between the two.
There's been a lot of, I don't want to say friendships broken up. I mean, you go back in history, look at Josh Koscheck and Javier Mendez, man. Never once, I don't think they ever spoke to each other ever again after that whole
That was a horrible relationship.
That fucking thing just, it busted up. Dave Camarillo left the gym, and then right after Dave left the gym, that whole thing happened. It was already a rift because Dave left, and Koss was like, "Why did he leave? We should pay him more. We should do that." Like it was a battle back and forth of what's going on, and that just was like overflowed,
and it just got worse and worse.
They've never talked to this day ever. They've never talked to this day. They never will. Yeah, they never will. But Josh Koscheck just had a baby boy, man.
Hey, good for him,
man. Happy for him. Happy for him. So, yep, he's people give him, man. He's a good guy. He lived with me for years, and he was rough around the edges a little bit. But when it came down to it, he's someone that if I needed something, and not a lot of fighters could I be like, "Hey, I need this," and they would do it, even though they live with you under your roof. Just try to eat all your food, fucking run up your bills. They do all that shit. They wouldn't do shit for you, right? This dude, he would be like, "No, I got you, man. Don't worry. Like, we'll take care of it. Whatever." Like, it didn't matter if you needed something. He's like, "I can do it. Yeah, let's go. I'll help you with it." Yeah. He was one of the best training partners. He'd give you the shirt off his back. He'd give you rounds. After he'd done his whole workout, he'd give you rounds. He'd give you grappling rounds, sparring rounds. He'd work to you. If you were tired, he'd go ahead and let you piece him up a little bit. Give you some confidence. He was a great training partner. One of the best. So people don't give him enough credit, so I'll have to give him a little shout. All right, what else you got?
All right, I wanted to get your thoughts on MVP's comments regarding the fight. Just that a few days removed from this, MVP came out and said that he knew he was down at round 4. He was talking to his corner. They said he think he was down, and he basically knew the fight was going to go against him based on the way that Logan was holding him down. And his comments were that MVP said, "I came to win and win big," whereas Logan came to just survive. And he's talked about the lack of injury or damage after the fight.
Okay, look, I want to clarify something. You guys, I wasn't comparing the other day because I do read the comments. I know John doesn't, but I've told you guys 100 times I read the comments. I wasn't comparing the fight between Masvidal and Colby. That fight was a good fight. A lot of people gave it flack that it wasn't super exciting. I thought it was a good fight. There was stand-up involved. There was wrestling involved. The control was there. But a lot of people, I'm saying that people dogged that fight because it was a lot of wrestling. It was him just controlling Masvidal on the ground. I wasn't comparing the two fights. People were going to say that this fight was boring because Logan Storley was able to wrestle him, hold him. They're not the same fights. Just want to make sure we're clear. There was a lot more stand-up in that fight. This fight, in this situation, Logan Storley is a stud wrestler who found a way to get the win. And at the end of the day, he doesn't give a shit what anyone says on the internet. He doesn't care what I say. Doesn't care what John says. He is now the interim champion. Okay, that's it. You know, and everyone's like, oh, I want to see him fight Amosov. I want to see that fucking fight too. Okay, that fight, because their first fight, if you guys haven't watched it, was freaking amazing. There was, like I said, two ferrets on the ground getting after it. Logan was in a lot of trouble in submission damage and in submission problems.
And then
knee
he had
bars,
Amosov in
darces, and he also had Amosov in trouble and some stuff. Look, there was a lot of good exchanges in that fight. And in the end, the two of them were so tired from all the wrestling that they ended up having to stand almost the whole third round because neither one of them could take each other down. And that says a lot about Amosov going against someone who's a 6-time state champ and a 4-time All-American from Minnesota. He is a stud when it comes to wrestling. You guys don't, no one gives MVP the credit he deserves. The guy, they're always a can. No, he's not. Look at how guys and females, Holly Holm, I just mentioned this earlier. You've got Stephen Thompson. You've got Lyoto Machida.
Would you not like to see Stephen Thompson versus MVP?
That would be the fight. That's how I've always wanted to see that fight.
My God,
to me, that'd be a great
incredible
fight.
Oh,
I want to see
incredible.
that fight. But that chain of fighters, they can make a fight look easy to them. The way that they fight, they make that fight look easy. Look how Holly Holm destroyed Ronda Rousey. She made it look easy. After everyone, even some of the top announcers said, oh, Ronda could be in boxing. She could probably knock out a guy.
Oh, no. Hold it. She could fight Floyd Mayweather. Wasn't that coming up at the time?
That was so. Let's be real. Let's
crazy?
be honest. MVP is good. He just has a hard time with wrestlers. Paul Daly, 35 knockouts, hard time with wrestlers. Guys are just either really good at one thing in terms of on the feet. MVP is a problem for anybody he fights. They're all going to try to find a way to take him down. Bottom line, no different than how they fight Stephen Thompson, no different than how they fight Machida, all of those things. I can't say that he's not right. Logan didn't come to survive. He came to win, but exactly what he did was win.
Yeah,
and now he's the interim champion, and he's walking away with the title with the potential of fighting Amosov.
But let's talk about. You're the perfect person to understand this. In that, sometimes what you think you're going to be able to do during a fight, and what you're actually able to do based upon the person that you're fighting, are completely different. Logan Storley did not go into that fight looking to just wrestle and control position. What he found a guy that was incredibly long, even longer than he thought, super fast, was able to touch him at a distance that he was not expecting, and that even when he got him to the ground, realized he's so damn long, I can't grab his wrist, I can't reach out and get the things that I need to get to put his back on the canvas. It was a frustrating fight for him because now he's just, your mind is working so much into, let me get this position and then let me attack him. And then when you can't get him to that position, now it's like you keep on working and you keep on working to get to the position. You can go back to fights like Jon Jones when he fought Dan Cormier the first time. I said it, Jon Jones was beating Dan, but it almost got to the point where Dan Cormier was so upset that Jon Jones took him down that his whole thing wasn't to win the fight at the end. It was, I have to take you down. And you could see it. That was what he was working towards. Yeah. And he finally, he does the takedown and Jon pops right back up. But you look and you go, guys are different when all of a sudden you practice, you think you bring guys in, and then this guy is just a different freaking animal than what you're used to. Of course, MVP went in there to knock him out. That was his way of winning the fight. Of course, he's looking to inflict damage. That's how he wins fights. He inflicts damage with these strikes that come from all these different angles, and he's fast and he's just incredibly explosive. Of course, that's what he's looking to do. Logan Storley is looking to take you down, control position, and beat you up on the ground. He wasn't able to beat MVP up on the ground. No doubt about that. MVP was able to nullify most of what Logan was able to do. It's just that MVP wasn't able to get his ass back to his feet. And now I don't blame him for that. He's got a guy that's a incredibly, outstanding grappler on top of him, but he was able to nullify the damage. He just couldn't get himself back to his feet. So this is how the fight played out. Was it a great fight? Of course not. It wasn't a great fight.
Absolutely not.
But Logan Storley went there to fight and win. Michael Venom Page went there to fight and win. They obviously went in there knowing that it was going to be in a different, form, but it just ends up that Michael could not keep himself from being taken down. He couldn't get himself back to his feet, and time ended up being his enemy as far as he wasn't able to land that big shot, that was going to hurt Logan during one of those takedown attempts. So the fight is what it is. I heard people say it was a robbery. It wasn't a robbery. You could have gone either way with people, and that's fine. I've heard, people going both ways. If you look at the criteria, most of that fight was in the grappling realm. That means that that's your first criteria, and Logan won the majority of those rounds, at least 3 of them, compared to MVP. So It is what it is.
Yeah, you brought up mentality. Look, it's hard to deal with someone who's that long. It's hard to deal with someone who's that fast. It's hard to deal with someone that has big hands for wrist control. Yeah. And I'm going to give you guys an example from my own career, which was the Tony Ferguson fight. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this guy down. His jiu-jitsu is not good enough. He's not going to damn it. There's not going to be any problem. That very first takedown changed the way I fought the fight. Yeah. As soon as I hit the double leg, I was like, oh, this is easy. Hit the ground, he rolled away, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? It really changed. Right after that, I was like, okay. I was like, forget it. I don't need to take him down. I'll just fucking stand on the feet. Then the push kicks started coming. Then the long jabs started coming. I was like, this is a lot different than I was planning on fighting. I didn't train as much for the stand-up. I did train as much for the stand-up, but my mentality was take him down, press him to the fence, do the work. If he stands back up, mat return, do more damage, elbows, pass guard, mount. I knew I could do all those things. That very first takedown that he defended, I was like, shit.
Changed your opinion.
This changed the way I fought right off the bat. The fact that Logan Storley didn't allow that to happen to him based off of the speed, the reach, the movement, all of those things, that mentally proved that he is in the right area of, look, this is what he needs to become champion. His whole focus was to become the champion because guess what? His next fight, whether it be Douglas Lima or whether it be Jason Jackson, he's going to take them down. But both of those guys don't fight like MVP. The fear on the feet is not as much. Don't get me wrong. They're both nasty on the feet. But the speed and the reach and all those things,
the way they
and the
do
movement, the way they do it is different. They fight more of a traditional style of fight. He will stand with them a little bit more, inserting into the takedowns. When he gets to the top, they will be more active on not just getting up, but trying to use sweeps, trying to use arm bars, trying to use submissions. MVP is not that guy. He will continue just to try to get up, which potentially can make for a boring fight because there's no threat of striking from either fighter. One fighter is trying to get the takedown, other fighters trying to get up, not really striking. That's what makes it a boring fight. Lima will either try to get up or Lima will just stay in his guard and strike from the bottom like he has been doing lately. Okay. And Jason Jackson is a dog. He will do anything to get back to his feet, and he will continue. And he may even try to reverse you and get on top. Jason's a very well-rounded fighter. And the good thing is the two of them know each other. That should make for a fun fight because when you know each other, you already know how hard they hit. You're not worried about, oh God, if he's going to hit me, he's going to knock me out. You are.
Or maybe
you know how fast he is. The hardest part is when you walk into a cage. When you walk into a cage, one of the hardest things is that first fill-out period. How fast is he? That first initial shot. Oh, did it hurt? Those are things that fighters don't know about each other. Well, these two know about it. Yeah. That's why my fights with Gilbert were good because we already knew how hard each other hit. We already knew how good their cardio was. We already knew that they'd be there in the 5th round. I already knew all these things about him, how fast he was. There was no concern. I knew it all. I was already prepared for it all. So it made it easier just to engage. So you could see an absolute barn burner of a fight with Jason Jackson and Logan Storley. You could see a good one too with Lima and him. Can he take the leg kicks from Douglas Lima? And when Amosov comes back, I don't think you'll see anything but a great fight because Amosov's trying to hit submissions from all different angles. He's anaconda from his butt, darces from the side. I mean, like he's trying to hit everything, knee bars when he rolls through. I mean, he makes for a fun fight. To me, he's very action-packed. But overall, MVP is very difficult to deal with, just like how Machida, just like how Holm is, just how all these fighters are that have a lot of movement. They're always going to be hard and difficult to deal with.
Yep.
Next one.
All right. We'll wrap up on this one. I'm going to lump these two together.
We're lumping.
So Dustin Poirier did an interview this week, and he talked about having been offered the Nate Diaz fight twice this year already, and he just doesn't know why it's not materializing. And then he also mentioned that he was offered the Colby Covington fight as well. So he's saying that he wants to fight. If he basically he doesn't want to fight Colby because he doesn't want Colby making money off him. But if he doesn't accept the Colby fight, he's going to be sitting until the end of the year. He doesn't want to do that either. And then he's saying that the Nate fight was offered to him twice, but he isn't getting any follow-up as to whether the deal's getting done. So what do you think about the Nate fight, the Colby fight? What's going on behind the scenes with the Nate fight? Why can't we get it done? For what's going on with Dustin Poirier?
Don't know.
That's
don't
a
know.
Dana White question.
There you go. So this is
Dana
guy.
White question.
He's balding. He does a lot of press conferences. He should be able to answer those questions. I don't know why. If they've offered it twice to him, it means that Nate didn't want it. Maybe. I don't know if he accepted it, but the one thing I will say is this: when he's sitting there saying he doesn't want Colby to make money off of him, that's not the way to look at it. Yeah, you're making money off of Colby. That's.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a good chance Colby beats him.
Look, they know. They've been in the gym together. They know where they're strong, and they know where they're weak against each other. So that may be exactly what it is. Maybe it's that he doesn't have the confidence going against Colby in that. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what it is either. But the fight I'd like to see is him and Nate. There's no doubt about that. But then there's also something else I'm going to throw out there. We just talked about MVP, but I want to talk about Stephen Thompson. Stephen Thompson said, "Hey, I'll be your Huckleberry." He said, "I'm down to fight at 170. Let's do it." I'm down to watch that fight too. I like Stephen Thompson. I think Dustin's a great kid, man. I'd love to see that fight. That'd be a good fight.
Would be.
I mean, you're dealing with someone
not as good as MVP versus Waterboy. I like that.
No, but I don't think that fight would be as good as Nate and Dustin either. Yeah. So, but I mean, if Stephen Thompson is willing to say, "Hey, come up to 170," because Dustin said he's willing to fight at 170, I'd like to see that fight.
Yeah.
I want to see Stephen. I want to see Dustin fight. Period. And I like watching Stephen fight. So let's watch the two of them fight against each other. If Nate's not going to take the fight, or if the fight's not being presented to Dustin and Nate. But the fight to make, honestly, is Dustin and Nate. That's the fight to make. I would love to see that fight.
I'd like to see it too.
What else? Is that it?
That's it. That's done.
It. Go to weighinginpodcast.com, weighinginpodcast.com. There is no promo code for that, but we've got our OG logo, Weighing In. That comes on a white shirt, hoodie, sweaters, sweatshirts, all of this other stuff. So we've also got all of our home improvements.
Sweaters. We don't have sweaters.
Okay.
We have sweatshirts. We have hoodies. Right. We don't have sweaters.
You know what? We will have a sweater now.
Do you wear like a sweater vest?
Yeah.
Do you wear like a sweater vest?
I used to a long time ago. I used to when I was young. I think I was in high school. I used to wear them. There you go. They were kind of popular for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, we've got hoodies. We've even got a coffee mug that says Weighing In on it. So check out all of our merch. See what you guys like. Please post a picture of you guys wearing it. Send it to us or tag us in it on Twitter or Instagram. We will repost it. We want to thank you guys for continuing to supporting us and our show. And we're working on something that might be a big deal. So if I can get this deal together, it'll be awesome for John and I to be doing. So we're working on this deal, and hopefully it all comes to fruition. That's a little teaser for you guys coming up. Teaser. So I'm pumped for that. But, John.
Yes. For everyone out there, have fun watching the fights. There should be some really good fights this weekend. Look for Friday and Saturday night, both. Some great action. Have fun. Be kind to everyone out there. Do something good for someone just because you can and make their day special, and we will see ya.